Know that you're awesome. Know that since birth you've been labeled a marked man. Know they've attempted to strike you out history's tablets, cause their lives are average. They'll try to paint you a savage, cause you bear a gift to raise up young stiffs that see through the lies. They feel mortalized despite all the hatred. Who's still building nations? Witness a rise of modern day Zulus with the greatest weapon at their disposal. That's why they tried to silence Bishop Tutu, cause they felt his own words were disloyal. That's why it simply makes my blood boil when mere mortals try to step in and uncoil the ancient coded language that God is painting. Despite all the anguish, what's simply amazing.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Balance Podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. We're at episode 28, and 28 is a special number to me. You know why? Because I was born on the 20th day of September. Libras, stand up. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed another song from Jamal Steele. And so we're going to jump into today's topics, and the first is going to be the Grammys. So I was not impressed by the Grammys, and the only reason I watched was because I wanted to see Cardi perform, Chloe and Halle perform, and I wanted to see the Motown tribute, and I wanted to see Diana Ross and all those different things. But yeah, I was so unimpressed, and let me tell you why. So we're going to start off with J-Lo. J-Lo, she can dance. She is a performer in that sense. Good at what she does. Singing, not so much. So let's talk about how J-Lo was the only person. She slid in Alicia Keys for 0.5 seconds, but J-Lo did the entire tribute to Motown. Motown, mind you, black record label, mostly black artists, but you have a non-black person, a Latina, and you know there's history of anti-blackness in the Latino Hispanic community. And you have her do the entire tribute for a record label of black artists, like I said. And honestly, to me, that's anti-black. Like, that was the Grammys just throwing a slap in the face. And not only the Grammys, Jennifer Lopez should have had the good sense to not go up there and, you know, perform, especially not to do a whole freaking tribute. She did all the songs. She did everything. And then, like I was saying on Twitter, if you were following my podcast tweets or even my personal page a little bit, you know, the thing is, she wasn't even wholly doing Motown. She started off in a Motown outfit for like 0.5 seconds, and then she went to a J-Lo outfit. She did J-Lo moves. She did J-Lo outfits. Now, she didn't do J-Lo vocals because I'm 99% sure those were not her vocals for most of the songs. Like, one of those songs, I could tell it was a totally different person. I don't know who vocals it was, but it was not J-Lo's. That sound cannot come out of J-Lo's body. I'm sorry. And what else? Yeah, like, and then even other songs, like, I could tell it was not her vocals. It just wasn't. Dance moves on point. But at the end of the day, J-Lo it was not her space. It was not for her to do. And so I'm mad at J-Lo and I'm mad at the Grammys, and that was a slap in the face to me. And so, of course, and then, you know, they give people awards that they shouldn't. So it's just like, I'm done. Unless, of course, Beyonce, you know, performs or something like that, then I'll be back. But otherwise, I'm done with the Grammys. I like Cardi B's performance. It took a minute to grow on me, but I did like her red carpet outfit. I didn't like her date. I didn't like the person she brought on stage when she won the rap album of the year award, which she rightfully deserved. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, her performance is great. I love the old Hollywood glam visuals. You know, I love that she kind of stuck to her. I could tell she tried to tone it down a little bit, but she was still Cardi. I loved her award speech again. Didn't really care for, you know, thanking that person that she's married to at the end, and didn't too much care about, you know, him being on stage, given the history and all that and the third. But it's not for me to decide. It's Cardi's life. You know, you just want better for people, but you have to think, like, she's still young, you know, and then think about where you are in your journey. How many times did you go back to the same guy? How many times did you deal with less than what you were worth? And, you know, Cardi's still growing. She's still growing into her own as a woman. She's still learning about herself. So she'll get there. She'll get there. But anyway, so kind of moving into Cardi's award, I've been seeing like some people saying, oh, Mac Miller should have won, or, you know, or Ariana Grande fans being mad because she was upset he didn't win or something like that. But at the end of the day, Cardi won. She deserved it. Invasion of Privacy was a great album. I didn't listen to Mac Miller's album. But I do believe that he was a talented artist. But again, Cardi rightfully won. And I think a lot of people, y'all wanted Mac to win mostly because, you know, he's passed away. Because, you know, when people pass away, they get put on this pedestal. They get a new love that they never got. Like, people was clowning Michael Jackson, but then after he died, and since he died, now everybody loves Michael Jackson. Like, it's just that sort of thing. And, I'm going to shake the table a little bit because it's the same thing with Aaliyah. Aaliyah is a great artist. She was. But when they try to compare her and say Beyonce wouldn't exist, no, like, you're putting Aaliyah on this pedestal because she's gone. And I feel like it's the same thing with Mac Miller. I feel like if he would have lived, I think y'all still would have loved the album, but I don't think it would have been at the same kind of level or y'all getting so mad at Cardi winning or whatever. Well, moving on. So Janelle Monáe, incredible performance. She brought out the pink, the vagina lips or whatever again. And I loved it. She's owning herself. And again, that's what I love about artists and what I love about people is being you. Great vocals, the Prince influence. They worked on the album together, but don't get it twisted. Janelle Monáe wrote and did her own stuff, but they worked together as, he was her mentor. And so great performance. Amazing. One of the best of the night for me, if not the best, to be quite honest. Diana Ross was Diana Ross. Loved it. The diva. She said, put your hands up and do not be lazy. Loved it. You gotta love that she was saying happy birthday to me. And one, it wasn't a birthday celebration for you, Diana. And two, her birthday isn't until March 26th. Quick Google search. So yeah, but I mean, what is more Diana Ross than that? So anyways, more things that I have in the cards for our episode is that we're going to talk a little bit about dating and different aspects of dating. And then we're going to jump into a little bit more of the politics and stuff. And we have a new person that jumped into the race. So then we're going to go in and kind of look at their record on some of the issues from last week. And then we're going to look at Kamala again, or Kim, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Miss Harris. And we're going to look at Booker again, and we're going to look at Warren and see how they stack up in different issues this week. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, we're back. So again, I said we were going to talk about dating, and while I was reading some things online, one topic kind of stuck out to me that I thought was an interesting one to discuss. So basically, it's discussing depression and when you're dating someone, and when is the right time, or when should you talk about your depression with them. And one thing that I want to say, just a personal aside, is that you don't owe anyone anything or everything. You do not have to give the most intimate parts of you. And I'm not talking just physical. I'm talking about the emotional, the crux of you. You do not have to give that to anyone until they've earned that through action, countless times of action. And so that's just kind of how I want to preface the conversation. And so anyway, one quote that they said in there that I want to mention is that depression is just one part of your story. It does not define you. So when you want to discuss, it's a tricky thing because people want to know, like, when should I do it? There is no time. There is no preferred time. There is no perfect moment. None of that. But the article kind of suggested that you do it when you feel a level of comfortability with the person. If you hear how they talk about other people and you sense, like, if you can feel and you can tell that they have that level of compassion and maturity and understanding, then it might be a good time. If you see a future with them, again, it might be a good time. And if you already kind of built an emotional intimacy with the person, then yeah, go for it. And then, but a kind of obvious sign that, on the flip side, that if you hear how they talk about other people and they don't show a level of maturity, compassion, or understanding, or attempt to understand mental health issues, because that's a misunderstanding and stuff like that. And, people don't get it unless they've gone through it. But if they don't even attempt to understand and they make some very ignorant statement, not only is that a sign that you don't need to share that part of yourself, but that you actually might need to run and that they're not the person for you. That's a red flag. And so, again, there's no timetable for it. And people are hesitant because of the fact that there's such a stigma attached to mental health and depression and all those things. And so before I kind of move on to the next topic of dating, if you or someone needs help, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255. Okay, so kind of moving on. And so we were talking about red flags a little bit. So according to divorce attorneys, there's 9 big dating red flags. And I thought I would mention those to the listeners. So they're talking marriage or the next big step, but they're talking about it like super soon. Like, I don't think there's a timetable in the sense that, that love has to occur in this many months or this many years, and you can know that you might want to marry somebody from the moment you meet them, but that doesn't mean that you should. And so it kind of like, it can be an indicator of an obsession, a problem, or they don't understand the importance of commitment. And it could be an unhealthy sign. And, if they exaggerate and they're like, if you do online dating, if they exaggerate in their dating profiles, then there you go. If this is a huge one, a huge, huge, huge one, if they paint themselves as the victim of all of their past relationships, if they say all of their exes are crazy, it's a sign that they can't take responsibility, that they can't hold themselves accountable for their past and their relationships. Nobody's perfect. And I'm sure that everybody, even if your ex really did do you wrong, I'm sure there was maybe one thing or something that you've done wrong too, even if it wasn't with that person, but in the past. Because I've been shady. Like, I've dated two best friends, and then like they pulled up to like a show I was performing at, and they wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, oh crap, and so I'm running. So we've all had our moments. And so if they are always acting like they're the perfect saint and that they did nothing wrong, and it's just everybody else just dumping on poor old them, that's a red flag. Another one, and it's kind of major because you don't want to be seen as shallow, but if there's no physical spark, that's a red flag. You deserve someone who you are physically attracted to. You deserve someone that your body's attracted to, that your body meshes with. So if there's no physical spark, that's okay. Like, it doesn't make you shallow. Now, if you're over here dating because you want to have mixed babies, yeah, you're shallow and you're anti-black or what have you. But again, everyone deserves someone that they can feel comfortable being intimate with and love being intimate with and be attracted to. So physical spark is okay. And if it's not there, that's an okay reason not to deal with someone. Another thing is they've been divorced multiple times. I mean, I think, that's clear. Maybe they're the problem. If their financial life is a mess, like everybody has hard times and they have, like people get fired or laid off, things happen. But if they're constantly having problems with financial stability, that's an issue. It can roll over into you. You can, if you date them, if you marry them, that can roll over to you, and you have to bear those financial burdens, and it can affect you, your credit, and your life and your finances. And so just again, it's a red flag. Date someone who is financially responsible overall. Also, this one, they're technically married but separated. Red flag. Of course, some people date while they're, while they're still technically married, but again, excessive drinking. Everybody turns up, everybody drinks, but you do not want, you do not want to date someone who's an alcoholic, especially because you never know how people can be when they drink. And sometimes a lot of people are mean, aggressive drunks, and they can be abusive. So that's a red flag to watch for. And then if they want to spend every waking moment with you, it sounds beautiful. It sounds poetic. It sounds like a Disney fairy tale in the beginning, but if they want to be around you too much too soon, it might be a sense of desperation. It might be a sense of obsession. It can be a lot of different things. If they can't give you your space, that's bad, because in a relationship, you're still supposed to be able to give each other space. You're still supposed to be, two separate individuals that just come together. But if they can't do that, then it can indicate possibly like some sense that it might turn violent. Like, it's something to watch for, They might need to work on themselves. So those are some 9 dating red flags according to divorce attorneys. And so the last bit about dating, and I wanted to kind of harp on dating because I usually don't talk about it in my podcast. So I thought it'd be something new. So these are 12 little ways that couples in long distance relationships can stay connected. And, I don't know how many listeners out there are in long distance relationships, but I thought this might be helpful for those who are or those who are considering it. So make it a point to talk every day, even when you're busy or not in the moods. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour call. That can be great, but sometimes 15 minutes is enough, Make sure that, you separate update conversations from connection conversations. And I think that's very important. Like, yeah, you need to talk about like, oh, how was work? What did the doctor say? Like, those things are important. You need to keep updated and know what's going on, but it's not intimate. So you need to balance those updates with deeper, less distracted, less small talk conversations. And remember that you're still a couple. So keep that in mind. Connective conversations and update conversations, 2 different things. schedule date nights, when you can eat a meal or even watch a movie or show together over FaceTime. Like, it might seem corny, but date nights over FaceTime, especially if it's a long distance relationship, it can be great. And then, it's not outdated to send postcards or love letters. Those are beautiful. When I tell you, it wasn't necessarily a love letter, but I was close with the guy who, he was at basic because he was going to the military, and he wrote me letters, and it was like, it gave me something to look forward to. It was great getting those letters in the mail. Like, those things are nice, and it's not outdated. It's not corny. Like, it's something beautiful to do. Like, getting real mail that's not a bill, like, that's life. Like, get something good in the mail to look forward to. You don't want another bill. Start a project together, think of some things that you could do, travel when you can together, just different things, Find excuses to celebrate each other. You don't have to wait for a big occasion. And this is something that I'm trying to kind of incorporate. I'm single, but just like from a personal perspective, is not waiting for a big occasion to celebrate myself or to enjoy myself. I don't believe, I'm trying to work out of, waiting for Friday or being happy about Friday or Saturday, and try to enjoy it every single day. Like, try to make something good out of a Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday or Thursday. You get this sort of thing. Like, don't wait until certain times to celebrate, Celebrate all the time. Hide little notes in each other's suitcases after a visit, because that'd be great. They're unpacking and they find something. It's that same kind of that same kind of dopeness that you can get with the letters. And plan something special for the times they visit, so they have something to look forward to. Again, like, having something to look forward to in life is great. It's a motivating factor, and it helps keep the spark alive. And when you are together, whether it's on video chat or together, whatever, do some of the favorite activities of theirs. And it just kind of creates that kind of bonding thing, especially if it's over video chat or FaceTime or whatever. It makes you feel like you're doing them together. Like, technology can have its downsides, but it can also be a beautiful, wonderful thing. And this is one of the ways that it is wonderful. So there's that. And again, like, use the mail. Don't just use it for bills. Like, send each other care packages or surprise gifts in the mail. Like, that's something awesome. Again, like I said, technology is great. Find new ways to connect, like, pull a Soulja Boy, kiss me through the phone, like something, you know what I'm saying? And just the most important thing is, when you are together, just make the most of your time that you have together. All right, so those are some dating tips. I hope you find them helpful. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll talk a little bit about politics. I don't want to carry on with a little bit too long. But again, we'll kind of touch on, I found an article a little bit about what Ms. Harris had to say about her prosecuting record. And so I'm going to speak on that. And then also, we're going to talk a little bit again about her record, Warren's record, and Booker's record when it comes to like trans rights and like 2 other issues. And then I kind of want to touch on the other candidates, like Sanders will probably run again, and there's someone else, Gillibrand, and then there's someone else who just entered the race as of last night. So we'll touch on those 3 with the issues from last week to see where they measure up. All right, so again, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Hey everyone, so we're back. And so for Booker, Harris, and Warren, we're going to stick to LGBT and transgender issues because I found a lot of lengthy information on them. So we're going to stick to that. And then for Sanders, Gillibrand, and Amy Klobuchar, who announced, I believe last night, that she was entering the race, we're going to look at a little bit about abortion, Big Pharma, and then their stance with criminal justice. So starting with Booker and LGBT and trans issues, I found that he supports gay marriage and he's officiated same-sex marriages. And then in reference to the transgender military ban in 2017, he is quoted as saying it's outrageous. And he said that transgender people in the armed forces are qualified folks who've already shown a record of service that is incredible and worthy of respect. And so I know with Harris, there's a little bit of a question mark because of some of her history with as a prosecutor or whatever with transgender people. And then so actually, before we jump into that, I kind of want to talk about her a little bit and for her time as a prosecutor, because she says she takes full responsibility for it. And she said, I can tell you of the cases where I really regret that we were not able to charge somebody that molested a child, but the evidence wasn't there. There are cases where there are folks who made a decision in my office who do not consult me, and I wish they had, but again, I take full responsibility for those decisions. And she said, there are things that I am proud of as a prosecutor, as she started a first in the nation program that offered first-time nonviolent offenders a chance to have their charges dismissed if they completed vocational training, which, I mean, is good because it does allow for them to get a skill that can help them upon re-entrance to the community. But she did have that time in California where she denied sexual reassignment surgery to a trans inmate. So kind of keeping that in mind as we go back to talk about her. So as a California Attorney General, I found that she declined to defend the ban on same-sex marriage. So that shows her pro gay and lesbian same-sex marriage. And then when the U.S. Supreme Court restored marriage equality to California, she officiated at the wedding of Chris Perry and Sandy Steer, which was the first same-sex wedding after the ruling. And she instructed clerks to marry same-sex couples seeking a license with no exceptions. As Attorney General in 2015, she refused to certify a Kill the Gays ballot initiative proposed in California that would have, of course, unconstitutionally instituted the death penalty for homosexual acts. She also co-sponsored a bill in the California legislature with former Assembly member Susan Bonilla to eliminate the gay panic defense in cases of murder and violent crime against LGBT people. She also signed a friend of the court briefs arguing that transgender people should be allowed to use public restrooms consistent with their gender identity. And so as a California Attorney General, she filed briefs in favor of the Obama administration guidance supporting transgender students and against North Carolina's notoriously anti-LGBT House Bill 2. And as a U.S. Senator, she signed a brief before the U.S. Supreme Court in favor of transgender student Gavin Grimm for his case. That's a little bit about her and her LGBT and trans issue stance. And so then moving on to Warren, she has a 100% rating on the Human Rights Campaign Congressional Scorecard because she's voted in favor of every LGBTQ rights reform since 2013 when she was elected. Her LGBTQ record includes backing equal marriage in 2011, backing LGBTQ anti-discrimination protections, and putting forward bills to seek tax refunds for gay couples and make the census more inclusive of LGBTQ individuals. And in 2012, when she was facing off against her Republican incumbent, Scott Brown, a transgender inmate was suing the Massachusetts prison system after being denied transition medical care. And so Michelle Kozlek had fought for decades to receive the gender confirmation surgery that her doctor said was medically necessary. The Massachusetts Department of Corrections refused to provide it. And so it was despite the fact that she had been treated for depression and multiple attempts to self-harm her genitalia. And so in that year, September that year, a federal judge ruled that she should receive the surgery that had been prescribed. And so this is where her record starts to blemish just a tad, in the sense that both her and her opponent believe that they criticized it. They believe it was a waste of tax dollars. To quote her directly, she said, "I have to say, I don't think it's a good use of taxpayer dollars." Okay, so moving away from them, we're going to talk again about the three other candidates. Sanders hasn't officially, as far as I know, announced that he's running yet, but it's highly likely. And so I thought I would use him and the two who have announced their stances to kind of hit on what they believe. So abortion, don't quote me on this, but I believe Bernie Sanders is pro-choice. Gillibrand, she is pro-choice. Amy Klobuchar, she voted no on prohibiting minors crossing state lines for abortion in March 2008, and she voted no on banning human health services grants to organizations that perform abortion. So she's tried to allow for funding, and she hasn't been restrictive, so she seems pro-choice. For Big Pharma, Sanders has introduced bills to slash high prescription costs. Gillibrand, she's fought back against Big Pharma. And she's fought back against their opposition to legalizing marijuana, so she's pro-marijuana. She has introduced legislation, of course, to take on Big Pharma and protect Americans from Big Pharma. Amy Klobuchar, whatever. The senator has pushed to lower drug prices through various means. She's introduced bills to encourage the development of cheaper, generic alternatives to brand name drugs. And then when it comes to criminal justice, some things that I found, Sanders has voiced support for criminal justice reform. Gillibrand, she has pushed for legislation that would eliminate the current cash bail system that punishes people based on wealth and disproportionately results in low-income people of color being incarcerated even if they have yet been convicted. But I did find out that she has a 100% rating from the NRA when it comes to guns and a very low LGBTQ rating. Not related to this issue per se, but I thought it was worth noting. Amy Klobuchar, she's hard on drugs. She has a hard drug stance, like on things like weed. She's a moderate. She supported Cops on Beat program. She has a very similar prosecutor history to Miss Harris, which she's drawn a lot of criticism for, and she had a very tough on crime stance from 1999 to 2007. So yeah, these are just, again, some issues and different candidate stances, and I told you that I'm going to be talking about this, if not every episode, but at least, a significant amount of the episodes, because I want everyone to vote from an educated, non-biased standpoint. I want you to have all the facts as best as I can deliver them. I don't want Russia or trolls or anybody else. I try to look at very credible sources when I give you all this information, because again, it's very important. This election is hugely important, and I want everyone to have a clear, well-rounded view of candidates when you make your decisions, and not just totally X them out because of one thing. And, because you can't use that puritanism. And I get it. Some issues are very important. If they don't have it on this, it can make it or break it for you. But again, think about the past election. Think about how the things that went down between not voting and just voting just to vote for somebody else or doing stupid write-ins, how those things allowed for Donald Trump to be president and for us to be in the state that we are now. So again, it's very important that you take elections seriously, and not just the presidential elections in November, but also these primaries when they come up. And not only just the primaries, it's important that you keep in mind that all state elections are very important as well. They don't have the same turnout. Midterm elections, they're very important. They don't have the same turnout. So yeah, I want to do my service and do my thing. And so yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode. If you are not following me on Twitter, please follow at @the_balance_pod. It's also the same on Instagram. Please follow me there. Please tell your friends to follow me on social media. Please send them iTunes links. It's also available on Google Play, and I'm going to start tweeting those links out more often. So send links to your friends. Help tell them about the show. Retweet me when I'm tweeting on my personal page or my podcast page. Just help me spread the word. I appreciate it so much. You do not know what this show means to me. It can drive me crazy sometimes, but I do this every week because I love it. So again, thank you so much, and we'll be back next week.